So today I'm going to show you how I changed the oil on my BMW E46 3 Series. The same technique would apply to the 5 Series of this model year time frame. It's easier than doing it on other types of cars because the oil filter is located up high, and hopefully this is a very quick video. It's pretty straightforward. Tools you need to do this job is obviously oil. I use OW40 Mobile 1. You're going to need a new oil filter which looks something like this, and it comes with this O-ring. I'm going to show you how to use that. You're going to need a 17mm metric socket and a wrench to get your drain oil bolt off, or you could use a wrench or something like that. You're going to need a 36mm socket to get the oil filter stopper removed. Now this one is a 12 point. I prefer to use a 6 point because it can potentially do less damage. And you're going to need an oil drain pan that you don't see in this picture, and probably some newspapers. Another point I'd like to make is that last time the oil was changed on this car was May 18th, 2008. This is 2010, July. So that's like over 2 years ago. Now, I've got 6,000 miles on the car since then. The computer on the car is telling me I can go 10,000 more miles, 10,000 miles more before I change the oil. Now, for me, 6,000 miles on synthetic oil is enough, and so I don't go by the computer to tell me when to change the oil. I change it when every 3,000 miles on the old conventional dyno oil, the dinosaur oil, or I change it, every 6,000 miles when I use synthetic. So even though we may not have to change it by the computer, we're changing it anyways. Okay, so get the car in the air. Use your set of jack stands and a jack, or use ramps or something like that. But the car has to get up in the air in a safe manner that you're not going to get crushed if the thing falls on you. Open under the car, get your oil pan and your oil drain bolt. You want to get your wrench on that bolt, and you want to make sure it's on there good. Now this is an aluminum pan. Not that that may mean much to some people, but you don't want to put the bolt back on too tight. Notice how easy that just came off then? That's because the last time I changed the oil, I used the torque wrench. So you want to get your pan all positioned now, and let that oil drain out. Now before you do this, of course, go for a drive in the car and let the oil get all warmed up nice and hot. So you can burn yourself if you get oil on your hands, because it is hot, quite hot. Now let that oil drain. Get the hood up on your car. Oil's draining now. Quite a bit of heat coming off here. We can take this off. It might help the oil drain out a bit better. Still draining down there. Now let's have a look at this oil filter. Now, oil filter lives inside here, and what you want to do is use your 36mm socket. I wouldn't go putting a pipe wrench or shit like that on here. I mean, you don't want to damage it. Go buy yourself the socket. I don't know, it's going to cost you 18 bucks. It's going to cost you a fraction of what the dealer would charge you for an oil change. And you want to make sure you turn this in the counterclockwise direction. Turn it left to loosen. I've seen guys do everything in the world to try to get this thing off because they don't torque it on properly, or they use the wrong wrench. So use the right wrench, do it right. Left. Okay. So that's that. Got our newspaper here. Just going to do a little bit of oil drip off this, and onto the newspaper we go. Now, the very first time I did this, I was a little confused, and I actually didn't put this O-ring on properly, and I got oil all over the car, and I didn't know how to do it because the instructions didn't seem to be too clear to me. That's your oil filter. Now, that's supposed to last 15,000 miles, or about how many God knows years until it's supposed to be changed. That's ridiculous, oil filter that long. So anyways, as you can see here, there's this plastic tip. These O-rings don't have to be changed like on other BMW filters, but there is a rubber O-ring right here, and we just remove that. You can pick it out with whatever tool you've got. I like to use something that doesn't scratch, like a pencil. And so that's the old O-ring. Now what you see here is there is an O-ring groove when I did this my first time, I didn't realize the O-ring had to be in the groove. I thought it had to be up here, so it made a lot of state, and I had to take it all apart again. But the O-ring goes back in the O-ring groove. Pretty straightforward, common sense, isn't it? Of course it is. But when you're doing this and you have no idea because you've never done it before, sometimes it can be a 50-50 shot. So you might want to get a little dab of oil from somewhere. We'll put a dab of oil on it before we screw it back on. But get this O-ring back in this groove, and we take the new oil filter. Doesn't really matter which direction. The oil filter goes like that. I'm going to take a drop of oil. I'm just going to smear it around that thing. So now, put this back in. Pretty straightforward. You just put it on like that. You have to push it down a little bit until the threads catch. And just keep turning it until the O-ring starts to bind up. Once the O-ring starts to bind up and create a seal, then you got to put the wrench on it. Now, this goes on. There's a number on the head of this thing. I'll show it to you in a second. Okay, it's brought up. Right there, the number says 25 Newton meters, NM. For our Americans, that's 18 pound-feet or 18 foot-pounds. Newton meters, that's kilogram meters second type system for the Canadians and the Europe, well, for the rest of the world. Okay, so put that on there. Torque wrench is adjusted to 18 foot-pounds. And now that's all she wrote right there. Now, to get your oil drain bolt, as you can see, there's a copper washer on there. We don't want to reuse that. We want to put a brand new one on because they cost like, what, 5 cents? And it's made to be replaced. So, brand new one, put that on. Now, you put that back on the car. 18 foot-pounds the torque wrench goes to, just like the oil filter cover. Time to put this back together now. So put your drain plug back in, and you're going to tighten it back up. So we get a wrench on this. Alright, so we put this on then, and we just go easy until it clicks. There you go. And she's done. Alright, so we got the car lowered to the ground again, and it's time to put in the oil. So we just take some newspaper, tear a small section out, put this down in the hole like that, and now we start pouring in the oil. Now, last time I did this, I wrote a note to myself to say, put in 6 quarts and then put in the 7 with the dipstick. I'm going to put in 5 quarts here now. So you can put it in like this, as long as you hold the container up in this direction, not this direction. I like to get it in the shot, but I like to not make a mess. So I like to add oil like this. Alright, so we're back. Now it's time to check the oil level again, because some time has passed now. And let's see where we are. Okay, we are on the top of the upper mark here, which means that we don't want to put any more oil in. So, some final remarks. We just did that in what, 10 minutes or less? So, next time that you have to call your boss and say, you know, I'm going to be late for work because I have to drop my car off at the dealership to get it serviced. What the fuck is that? That's just, you know, them going to change the oil and maybe, you know, probably try to find some other stuff to charge you money for, like a, you know, windshield wash or whatever. So, you know, rather than getting your car serviced, dude, change your oil. You know how to do it. That's a piece of cake. Do it yourself. time to man up if you don't do it already. That's it.